Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to BWTM Sports Gaming. So we just a few hours ago watched Jermall Charlo in an interesting fight, exciting fight against Juan Montiel. Now, going into this fight in the preview, I did say and did state that homecomings can end up being a disaster because the home fighter has sometimes takes the eye off the ball. Sometimes they can get distracted because of family commitments, friends wanting tickets, and all the rest of it. So this fight, I said I had feelings about this fight that it wasn't going to be as easy for Charlo as he may have thought it would have been. And I'm glad. Charlo's in my top 5 in terms of fighters that I would, first of all, fighters that I would pay to go and watch, physically go and watch. I would get on a plane and go and watch Jermall Charlo. I like him. I like his style. I like about how he goes about his business. And I love the guy. I love the way the guy fights. He's one of my favorites. He's definitely in my top 5. And tonight or last night was certainly just another example of why I actually like him so much. From the first round, you've got to look at Montiel, Juan Montiel, first world title shot, had lost 4 fights, had 22 KOs in his record. 4 fights he lost, 22 KOs. So he had a big knockout ratio in terms of fights he had and knockouts. And his last fight, he came off a 1-round knockout of James Kirkland. Say what you want about Kirkland, but Montiel showed that if your chin isn't up to scratch, he's going to take you out of there. And I was really impressed with the fact that Montiel himself came out to fight. He came out to put on a good fight. He came on to try and become WBC middleweight champion of the world. And Charlo faced opposition. He faced a live opponent. He faced an opponent who's determined to not just, as soon as you get hit with a good shot, fall over. This guy came to win. Mano a mano. He took Charlo's best shots and he fired back with shots of his own. And he kept trying throughout the fight. And in boxing, in fights, you're going to get hit with shots. You're going to get caught with shots. It happens as you move up in the levels of boxing. No matter how good your defense is, you're going to get tagged. And Charlo got tagged with some good shots by Montiel. But I like the way Jermall Charlo went about his business. I like the way he was on Montiel, like as Bruno called it, Alpha Shark. He was right on him. It was like a buzzsaw, complete on him. It wasn't reckless as well. It was the shots to the body were nice, using the jab nice. Getting on the inside. We wanted to stay on the outside using the jab. And Montiel, as you know, is a switch hitter. Not only that, Montiel in the fight showed he was a lot better than people expect him to be. People expected Charlo to go there and roll him over. I didn't expect it. I expected a guy who was fighting for his first world title, had nothing to lose, and the fact that, Charlo's at home, he may have taken his eye on the ball. I'm going to jump on him. And literally, Montiel tried to jump on Charlo and back Charlo up, and Charlo had to fight off the ropes and fight back. So it was give and take, and I loved it because you saw good defensive skills, slipping punches, guard up well, slipping shots, getting inside, throwing shots. That is boxing. That is boxing. And it absolutely frustrates me to hear people say things like, oh, well, Charlo's been exposed now. That's a real fight. That is why we tune in to watch box and see fights like that. Too often we're seeing guys fight nondescript opposition, them getting knocked over, them knocking over nondescript opposition, and we praise that. But a genuine fight where the champion is backed up and forced to think about what he has to do and change up the game plan. These are the fights, boxing fans. These are the fights that make character. These are the fights that are the barometer test. These are the fights that you watch that make a fighter able to go to that next level, because it's right. I've been in a fire, I've been in a fight, I've been in a war, I've come through that war. You know, I've got headbutted in a fight, and I'm still able to come out victorious with my hands raised high. And for me, I like to see my fighters go through that. All the fighters that I like have been through a test. And when I said Charlo, go for that test, I go, right, got hit on the chin. A guy who came to win, a guy who's got knockout power. So I know he takes a good shot. I know he can fight under pressure. I know he can fight in the front foot and on the back foot. I know if he gets a headbutt, he's not going to say stay in the corner and not come out after the next round. He's going to pop a fight, and I know he can bring the fight as well. And if he says he's going to do something, he will do it. And that's what I love about Charlo. And those are the sort of guys I like to see fight. That's boxing for me. You know, he used the jab, nice, double up the jab when you need to. You know, work the body well. So up and down, and it was really good to see. And again, I thank Juan Montiel so much, because it allowed me to say, yeah, that's my champion. And that's the reason I like my champion, because he could take it and he could bring it. And it's quite interesting. On the same night, Gabe Rosado for an 8-fight novice that probably people were hyping up and said, yeah, go fight Gabe Rosado. And Gabe Rosado would have knocked him out. And that's because that guy was probably fighting a whole lot of highlight reels against guys you never heard about. And they thought, right, stick him in against Rosado. Rosado's he's passed it and got knocked out. So these fights, boxing fans, don't be mistaken. These fights here prepare fighters for that next level. They prepare fighters to go to that next level. And then the other thing to remember is this, is that while David Benavidez is sitting there going, yeah, I'll knock him out, is Benavidez prepared to go where Juan Montiel was prepared to go? Is he prepared to dig that deep? And if he gets hit with heavy shots, like Charlo was hitting Montiel with, is he going to have the same character that Montiel has? Remember, Benavidez has been dropped by unknown fighters, right? He's been dropped by unknown fighters. So who's to say that if Charlo lands on Benavidez talks well, he's got nice fast hands, but he gets hit a lot, and his chin's not the greatest. You're getting dropped by guys you don't know about, C-class level opposition. What's going to happen when Charlo hits you? You know, so and the intensity that Charlo fights, can Benavidez switch up the game plan, or is he going to be there to get hit all the time by Charlo? So while people are saying, well, Charlo did this and Charlo did that, let me ask you the same question. Is he prepared to stand up and take that kind of fire that this guy, Juan Montiel, put out? That's the question. And that was some real fire that Montiel brought to Charlo in his hometown, looking to embarrass Charlo. And the champion responded, a champion responds. So for me, great fight. Green tick in the box for me. Let's move on to the next fight. It was exciting. So for those people who say, you know, he could have done a Keith Thurman. What do I mean by Keith Thurman? Keith Thurman, well, you start the first round, you come out bombing, and if you can't take the guy out, or the guy's a bit tasty, and he's got a bit of punch power, get onto the back foot and run, get onto the back foot, and literally circles from left to right for the next 11 rounds. That's what Keith Thurman started doing. As soon as he saw like but Leonard Bundy was a perfect example. He hit Bundy with everything. I thought, oh no, you know what? Bundy's not going anywhere. Let me get on the back foot and start moving from left to right. Charlo didn't do that. Charlo got hit with shots early in the first round and brought the fight to him. So it's exciting to watch as well. So not only was it exciting, and the punch power was flying. And the thing was, there were moments in that fight that Montiel could have given up. He could have quit, but he stuck in there. And for me, thank you very much, Juan Montiel. Montiel will come back. He'll come back again. He'll fight someone else again. I'd like to see Montiel fight Golovkin, actually. That would be an interesting fight, you know, because the intensity and the work is very hard. If you're not fit, if Charlo wasn't fit, if Charlo hadn't trained the way he did for that fight, and if he was off the boil for that fight, let me tell you something. Charlo got beat last night. Who would have got beat? Many fighters could have gotten beaten last night because Montiel literally jumped on Charlo. And you know, when you're, as I said, when it's a homecoming, some fighters tend to lord it up. It's a homecoming, and they forget they've got a fight in their hands. So congratulations to both for a great fight. That's a fight I'll go back and watch again for sure, definitely. Yes, how are you doing, John Smith? Hope all is well. I would love to, that's what I'd say. I would love to see this fight between Charlo and GGG. It's a fight that I've always been saying should happen. I don't know if GGG wants that kind of fire. Do you understand? You've seen Charlo can take a great shot. You've seen Charlo can throw punches at 3s and 4s and 5s against someone like GGG, who slow of hand and foot. I don't know if GGG wants that kind of at this point of his career. I favour Canelo to beat Charlo still. Yes. But Charlo is improving. I think Charlo needs a Golovkin fight. And then I'll probably go for a Charlo fight. Fight Golovkin, then go for Canelo. Go fight GGG first, then fight Canelo. I would go with that. GG is going to fight Murat. What a joke. This is what I'm saying to you. GGG don't want it. He don't want that stuff no more. Murat isn't even in the top 10 middleweight, regardless of him holding the paper belt. Well, this is GGG fans will find that acceptable. GGG fans will find that acceptable, but they won't accept. If Charlo fought the same guy, they'd be running Charlo down. But if GGG does it, it's acceptable. It's fine. Shout out Jermall Charlo, also going for undisputed 154. Yeah, that's it. The Charlos are going for it. Do you know? Can you imagine both guys undisputed? That'd be great. It'd be fantastic to see. I can't understand why this fight is warranting a Canelo versus Charlo predictions, when most of these guys make excuses for why the fight shouldn't happen. There you go. I know. See, a fight like that shows me that I definitely would like to see Canelo fight Charlo, but I would like to see Charlo take 1 or 2 more fights. I'd like to see him fight Golovkin and maybe one other, and then fight. I tell you what I'd like to see. 2 fights I'd take. I'd see Danny Jacobs and GGG. Those 2 fights, and I'll tell you why. Because with those 2 fights on his resume, I believe then he's got, and he beats those 2 guys in terms of coming to the table for a fight against Canelo. He's got more on his resume. And people forget about Canelo's resume. You know, because, oh, Benavidez would beat Canelo. Get out of here, man. Get out of here. Who's Benavidez beat? Really, for you to say that? Yes, Benavidez has got some fast hands, highlights. He's got fast hands, but he's pretty straight up. And he's got all his body here to be whacked up. And another thing is, he's been dropped by guys who you really don't care about. You understand? So this talk about Benavidez for me a good fighter, but he himself needs to fight some opposition. He needs to fight. He needs to be like a fight like Charlo was in, with some good opposition, a good name. I need to see him fight at, you know, super middleweight. He needs that. Would like to see Jermall versus Andrade. I don't want to see that fight. Andrade, I don't let Andrade do his own thing. I'm not interested in Andrade fight. It's not a fight I want to see Charlo in. I want to see GGG and Jacobs. GGG Jacobs, forget Andrade. Forget that fight. Canelo is an all-round fighter. Yeah, so is Charlo. Your point. Canelo, excellent beefsteak fighter also. He is. So this statement, Canelo is an all-round fighter. So what doesn't make Charlo all-round fighter? He can fight on the front foot. He can fight on the back foot. He can move from side to side. He can fight on the inside. Okay. So what makes Charlo not an all-round fighter? Excellent jab, can box from distance, takes a great shot, good punching power, good stamina. Why is he not an all-round fighter? Your point. Brotherhood says, I'd like to see Charlo versus Williams and Selecki for common opponents with Andrade. Listen. Charlo would beat the crap out of Liam Williams. Absolutely he'll beat the crap out of Liam Williams. Absolutely beat the crap out of Liam Williams. Because you're talking about different styles. Andrade is going to be slipping, moving, counter. You've seen what that guy's about. He'd bring it to Williams. He'll force Williams onto the back foot and you'd swarm all over him. You'd swarm. And Williams fights only one way. He can't adjust. Like a lot of British fighters, they cannot adjust on the fly. And Charlo will switch up and beat the crap out of him. Sorry. He'll beat the crap out of him. Charlo's got a dog in him also. That's what I love. I love guys who got real. Come and get it tonight. I'm coming for you tonight. You want this belt? I'm coming to you. I'm knocking your door. Literally, that's what I call knocking the door. I'm knocking you're not knocking my door. I'm knocking your door. Yeah. What you got? How much heart you got? How much guts you got? How much you want this title? You know what I mean? If you want, you got to physically come and beat me. And I love that from Charlo. I really do. Charlo would ice Williams in 3. Of course he would. Williams fights like the typical Joe Gallagher fight. No, that's it. It's completely smashed to bits. You know a fight I would love to have seen? 2 fights I'd love to have seen. Mythical matchups. Charlo versus Ben. Yeah. At middleweight. And then Charlo versus Calzaghe at super middleweight. Why Charlo Calzaghe at super middleweight? Well, because Charlo's physical strength, his work rate, the way he's almost like a dog, he's on you all the time. I would love to see how Joe Calzaghe would deal with that. And he's got a good jab at him. Charlo takes a good shot, good defense, nice fast hands. I think it's a great clash of styles. Joe Calzaghe and Charlo. I don't know. Charlo seems big enough to make super middleweight, but again, as you move to middleweight, will he still have the same punchy power, or will now at super middleweight will the punch power he's got kind of even itself out of super middleweight? That's the only thing. But I'd love to see that fight. Charlo is like a fighter from the 80s. Yeah, that's your talk. That's it, bro. Just like that. Greetings, Ingram. See, I would even go to say I would love to see Charlo versus Hagler. Why do I say that? Because Hagler is like a southpaw and he's bringing it to you. And then you've got Charlo at the event who's bringing it. So I'm not saying that Charlo will beat Hagler, but just to see those two go at it. You know that. Or John the Beast Mugabe against Charlo. Because again, you've got guys who bringing it at. You know what I mean? Beast Mugabe in 2021. If you had John the Beast Mugabe in 2021, my God, that guy would be causing terror across the middleweight division. Got absolute terror. Perfect technique, power, granite chin, speed, decent footwork when needed. Charlo is complete. Of course, he's complete. It's complete. You talk about a video game. He's a complete fighter, I think. Those would have been good dream fights. Of course, they'd have been good dream fights. He's got good written IQ and timing as well. It's a good age question. Did Calzaghe rob Hopkins? Don't know. You see that fight? Hopkins did himself no favors because he said, I'll never let a white boy beat me. That statement there, even if you're watching a fight and you are of that thinking of, oh yeah, and you're white and you're looking at that from that perspective, yeah, well, tonight this white boy's going to beat you. So Calzaghe's pitter-patter punches, and he was busy. He was busy. In that sense, he was busy. But Hopkins was landing the cleaner shots. If you look at the fight, you slow it down and take things down. Hopkins was landing really good shots on the inside and stuff. But it's one of those fights that if depending on the angle where you're sitting in the audience, you could see like Calzaghe probably looking like he's out working Hopkins because of that hand speed and stuff. But I've got to say that looking back on that fight, I think Hopkins may have been given a bit of a raw deal, but I'll never let a white boy beat me. That statement right there. And you got judges, of course, that's already in their mind. So if there's a chance that we could upset Hopkins, then so be it. Charlo versus Caleb Plant would be hilarious. LOL. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'd love to see that too. Charlo versus Julian Jackson. Woo! Let me make it even hotter for you. Not so much Julian Jackson. Charlo versus Jeremy McClellan. Now you're talking real heat there. What a fight. When Charlo realized he would not be able to KO Montiel around round 5, he got back on his jab. He definitely the more developed of the Charlo brothers. I like him. I've always liked him. I've always preferred him. The Zone's only good commentator is Sergio Mora. Chris Mannix. I used to talk to Chris Mannix back in the day when he made sense. I spoke to Chris Mannix in 2012 when David Hay was fighting Derek Chisora in London. In fact, that was my first stint of while I was working for what's the company again? Big American company, Ring something. I can't remember the name again now. Anyway, I used to work for them, and while I was working with them, I interviewed Chris Mannix, and he seemed sensible then. He seemed sensible then. He ain't sensible now. He's talking a whole heap of rubbish. I don't know why Chris Mannix is still on it. He's talked absolute garbage. He talks like a fanboy who knows nothing about boxing. If you look at casual, Chris Mannix is casual. But what I don't get is Chris Mannix is a guy who knows his boxing. Why he plays that idiot, I don't know. I don't get it. Because Chris Mannix is watching. Chris Mannix ain't like Stephen A. Smith. He's actually watched boxing. So I don't understand why this guy's talking so utter crap all the time. I don't get it. It's like as soon as he's got his commentator's job, he's like, I'm going to talk crap all night. Well, why? Chris Mannix. You're a disappointment, bro. Hopkins Kazak is this class, but I have Hopkins just skirting out with the win. Hopkins slowed him down and reduced Joe's output. Yes, I wouldn't argue that. I really wouldn't argue that point at all. Why do you spin an absolute garbage commentators like Brian Kinney, who DKSA? Also, Andre Ward, good commentator. Well, I don't know why ESPN does it, but Sky Sports are full of that crap garbage as well. It'll be interesting to see now that Hearn has gone with his second-hand car salesman act, who Sky put on, and whether they're going to improve their commentary team with that as well. My brother, the Brotherhood. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Jermall seems more composed than Jamil. Jamil's emotions actually will let him down, in my opinion. He's emotional. But then so is Conor Ben. Jermall is more patient, powerful, better jab, and smarter than Jermall. I've always said that, but it's just the other guy's got he's close to undisputed. That's all. Tony Bellew, let's see. Oh God, Tony Bellew said he would disappear. I see the dude more now than when he was boxed. Done an interview slagging off Sky like a week after leaving them. I don't listen to Eddie Hearn. I've said to you for a long time, I don't listen to continuous tense. Present continuous tense. Listen, I don't listen to that guy. Guy's a joker. I've told you for a long time he's a joker. And I don't believe anything he says. And if the Fury versus Joshua is anything to go by, that's it. There you go. He's full of crap. I told you the guy, and I told you he's a compound liar. A compound liar. Compulsive liar. You know? If Eddie Hearn was a West Indian or he was an African, for the amount of lies he got there, he would have got proper licks for that. He would have got licks. As big man as he is there, he would have got licks. But it is what it is. Can't wait to hear the present David. Hey, you remember that, eh? I love David. I love that. I can never get enough of David. I can never get enough of when David's talking. Because let me give you an example of David talking. You know, he's got to get behind the jab. It's important. He must get behind the jab. Yeah, you know, you can't go out fighting like that. You know, I love David, and when he makes a prediction, you can be guaranteed if David makes a prediction, back the other guy. Yeah, I don't see him winning this fight. I really don't. You know, I can't see him winning the fight. Then afterwards, yeah, well, you know, things happen in boxing, don't they? I love David. I love David. I love David. Thank you, brother. I think Canelo versus Charlo would be a classic. It would be a classic. But you see, the thing about this fight, and this is the fight where Charlo could get himself knocked out, and I'll explain why. Levels. You see, and I don't like using the word levels, but for this thing, if you're going to beat Canelo, he's got a plan A and a plan B. But what Canelo's got is that experience of fighting guys, really. How many guys has Canelo fought that are going to be Hall of Fame fighters? And that's the thing that people disregard about Canelo. He's fought so many Hall of Fame fighters that because of that, he's learned. He's got a different type of understanding of distance and timing, and he's got that Charlo hasn't quite got yet. And in terms of experience, Charlo's not going to get. I mean, he's not going to get a Mayweather. He's not going to get examples of fighting like a Kovalev or fighting, the Smith. Although I thought he'd beat the crap out of Smith because again, he's one of those guys that will jump on Smith. He's a pressure fighter. He'll put pressure on Smith and wouldn't let Smith. So. Can Charlo beat the guys that Canelo's beat? Well, I think he could, but I'd like to see him do it. Beat Jacobs, that for me. Beat Jacobs, beat Golovkin. Go because by that time you would have fought guys with reach, good reach, and can punch, and have got good boxing fundamentals in Jacobs, and then you would have fought someone like Golovkin, who's not too dissimilar to Canelo in style, because both Golovkin and Canelo are guys that don't like guys that move. So I'd like it, but the reason why I think that Charlo at this point isn't quite ready. You see, this fight he had against Montiel tonight or last night, that was a fight for me that I thought he would have gone back and thought, right, okay, I didn't knock this dude out. But I've knocked him out. He's got that, the guy brought it to me. He put pressure on me, but I was able to handle that pressure, take the shots, and come back. Handle the power and come back. I had a home crowd I fought in front of. So a lot of things he can compute, download, and improve on. So he can go back in the gym and work on that. So a Danny Jacobs fight, a Golovkin fight. If you can't get the Jacobs fight, get the Golovkin fight. If you can only get one fight, get the Golovkin fight, take the Golovkin fight, beat the crap out of Golovkin, and then go and fight for Canelo. Because at least you've got the Golovkin fight there. I've never been a massive fan of Golovkin. I've always said he's overrated. And I've always said that in terms of for what they said he was, I mean, they called him a power puncher, but who has he knocked out at elite level? When you talk about power punches, talk about Julian Jackson, talk about McLennan, you talk about power punchers, right? Golovkin's not a power puncher. He's knocking out C and D and E level opponents, and he's considered a power puncher. You know what I mean? But at least, so I think Golovkin's punching power is overrated. He couldn't stop a blown up welterweight, like knock him out. Could you imagine Kell Brooking fighting Julian Jackson? Do you understand? Could you imagine Julian Jackson fighting Danny Jacobs? In terms of the punching power, or McLennan, Kell Brook jumping up 2-weight division to fight Jermall McLennan? Well, you a murderer or what? So when I look at Golovkin, he's a safe fight for Charlo, and he's a great what's the word? A great preparation fight for Canelo. But he is on the older side. He's on the lesser side. He's coming to the end of his career, but still a name. Take out Golovkin. Inactivity is hurting a lot of these guys. I've got to agree with you there, mate. Got to agree with you. Canelo will dust up Plant and Benavidez. I can see that. GGG never one-shot KO'd anyone. Not anyone of anyone who's legit. Unless Matthew Macklin's legit. Golovkin is trying to fight Murat in December with a tune-up type punching between. No Charlo. Oh, he's not going anywhere near Charlo ever. I remember asking Abel Sanchez early in Charlo's career, do you want to fight Charlo? No. And he come up with nonsense about, choose Charlo for and all this stuff. And Charlo was ready to go. Didn't want a Charlo fight. Took GGG 8 rounds to get rid of Curtis Stevens. He did. Charlo can't beat Canelo, no experience. I wouldn't say no experience, but he needs more experience. He needs more experience to fight Canelo. GG feasts on 154 fighters for years. GG, let's see. So GG couldn't knock down. Get that there? Yeah. Couldn't knock down Brook, and the Jacobs knockdown was dodgy, LOL. All these guys likely would have stopped Brook inside 3 rounds. This is what I'm saying to you. When you talk about killer and power punches, Golovkin's very much overrated when you talk about punching power. When you talk about that elite sort of punching power. GG is gonna retire fighting bums. Yeah, probably. Can see that. Jacobs is on his way to 175. Gunning for Zarata or forget Jacobs, man. Forget Jacobs. If he fights Joe Smith will knock the crap out of him. And I like Joe Smith. He's another one of these guys I like. I like Joe Smith Jr. And you've got Ramirez. Ramirez will take care of him as well. So forget Jacobs. Jacobs is looking for a payday. Forget Jacobs. Glad to be here. He's not going to be glad to be in the light heavyweight. He'll get beat up in the light heavyweight division. He'll get beat up. I'm telling you. Wait and see. I don't know what different angles Charlo could show Canelo. He's pretty much seen every style. This is the thing. But what you've got to do, if you're going to fight Canelo, you need to have, you see, he's got a type of intensity you've got to make Canelo. When Canelo wants to box, you've got to fight Canelo. And when Canelo wants to fight, you've got to box Canelo. Right? Very much like the Mike Tyson mentality. When Mike wants to fight, you got to box Mike. And when Mike wants to box, you got to fight Mike. You know what I mean? The best way to fight Mike was to back him up against the ropes. Don't allow him to come forward and get leverage on his shots. Back him up, shut him down, get on top of him and fight him. You look at guys like when even Buster Matthews Jr., when he fought Mike Tyson, until Mike shifted to the side in that fight and opened up on Buster Matthews, he had Mike on the ropes. You understand? He was doing well with putting pressure on Mike on the ropes. Same with Francois Botha. He was doing well against Mike Tyson. I would say he was outboxing Mike Tyson until he got greedy and got hit with the right hand. Slightly digressing, coming back to Canelo, to beat Canelo, you've got to go one of 2 ways. You've got to be, for me, you've got to be a guy that puts tremendous pressure on and can fight for 12 rounds in the pocket and put the pressure on Canelo. And when he doesn't want to fight, you've got to be throwing punches. So you've got to put pressure on Canelo from there. Or 2, you have to be moving like Lara. Move. But when you're moving, every so often you've got to stop, flurry, 3 or 4 punches. Make sure you punch a hard puncher and get that out of here. A Sugar Ray Leonard is a good example of how to beat Canelo. You know, you 3, 4, 5 punches and out there. Like how Sugar Ray Leonard beat Hagler. That's how you got to beat Canelo. You got to have fast hands and you've got to be moving. And I tell you who'd beat Canelo in terms of style of Kazaki style from the outside. Ping, 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 away. Ping, 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 ping. So every time Canelo's turning, that's what you got to do, Canelo. And don't allow him to set his feet and allow some big shots at you. Easier said than done. Him. Or you've got a guy like Ward, who's excellent on the inside, will get on the inside, hold Canelo one hand, hit with the uppercuts in the other hand, and spin him and do things out. Andre Ward. 2 guys I think that could beat him in terms of style. Speed, on the outside, lots of punches, and away, or the on the inside, and fight on the inside. The 2 stars I think that could beat Canelo. We'll have to wait and see how it works out, though. Let's see. I think Zerardo stops Jacobs too. So do I. Jacobs looks bad at 168. He owes Rosado a rematch. Jacobs needs a Jacobs is one of the guys I never want to see box again. Said it already. I mean, Ingram might be able to go up, but I don't know if he'd carry the power all the way up. Also, I don't want him killing himself to get down to lightweight and get limo. Decisions, you're a joke. You are. You. As for fancy bouts, Hagley GG would have been telling about GGG while it lasted. Well, yeah. When you get a chance, Leah, do check out that interview I did with Abel Sanchez where we talked about GGG versus the world. It was an interesting interview, to say the least. Charlo showed last night he has wrinkles to his game. He can box, he can brawl. He's no longer in love with just his power, as his brother seems to be. He can box when needed. Well, I said this in the preview. That's why I like Jermall Charlo. Can box, can punch, can brawl, can fight in the pocket, has dog in him, good chin, good defense. That's why I like Jermall Charlo. It's guys like that all round. You know, they're not just good at one thing. You know what I mean? But then if you look at Deontay Wilder, that's different. Deontay Wilder, he is amazing at that one thing. He is, I would say, the most electrifying fighter in world boxing today. You can take it or you can let it alone. But there is nobody in world boxing that when they hit you like the way Wilder hits you, they go on the canvas. That is electrifying. You know what I mean? And I like that kind of stuff. I really do. Sis says here, speaking of Tyson, my son got me an autographed Mike Tyson glove for Father's Day. Now I have two. Oh, wow. Well, happy Father's Day to all the fathers in the world today. Let's see what's next. And with respect to Charlo, Canelo loves fighting bigger guys, so size wouldn't be enough. Have to really mix things up to throw Canelo off. That's what I'm saying. You have to mix it up. Yeah, but hold on. I want to clear something up. When you talk about bigger guys, there's bigger useless guys and bigger guys that don't want to fight and bigger guys that are your friends. One, bigger guys that are your mates. The contract deal. That was, what's the boy's name? Kovalev. Kovalev is like boxing Canelo with just a jab. Just a jab. Bing, 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 bing. Picking up points using the jab. And then Canelo steps in, throws a left hook, and the fight's over. But, I mean, I'd never seen Kovalev so passive in my life. He never threw a right hand once in that fight. Check it. How many big right hands did he throw on Canelo for that fight? Then you got a Callum Smith. Callum Smith, I said, once you put pressure on Callum Smith, he just holds up like in a ball. He can't do anything but curl up in a ball. That's it. He's great on the front foot, the jab and the right hand and one to the body. He's great. But if you put him in, if you back him up, put pressure on him, that's Callum Smith for you. So being big, Canelo beating big guys, Rocky Fielding, he was tall, he was big. But that doesn't mean anything because you're big and you're tall. You got to be effective. He's a big man that's effective. I don't think he's going to be so much in a mood to want to take the fight. You know, when you're big and you're effective, might not want to take that fight. So if he's so great, Canelo, why doesn't he fight Beterbiev? That's a big guy. He's a light heavyweight and he can punch, but he can also box as well. Yeah, see, and that's a difficult situation right there. Here, Charlo versus GG, good fight. Charlo can beat up outside easy, of course. So we've got here now. Come on. I swear this StreamYard is doing some real crap these days. Can't. Let me read the comments. Or let me read. I'll just read the comments. Let me take this off. Won't get the comments. Okay, I'll read it. Yeah, Jacob Sean's a guy just fighting for checks since the Devonchenko fight. Mike Tyson used to separate people from their senses, but Deontay Wilder turns your light off. There's a different type of power. Absolutely. Evening, Ingram. Have you Sorry. Benavidez versus, bigger guys, yes. Kovalev's jab is the one. Reminds me of the power jab Charlo used last night. Kovalev's KO'd hard with it. He did indeed. Canelo versus Beterbiev would definitely be a legacy fight for Canelo. I agree with you there, totally. Don't know if he wants that, though. The more I watch Canelo versus Kovalev, the more bizarre the fight looks, as if Kovalev agreed contractually to only use a jab. That's what I've said. That fight was as dodgy as ever. Meeting in the corridor, shaking hands like they were doing business. I don't know. We lost you. I'm back. See you, but can't hear you. I'm sorry about that, but I'm here now. So that would be it, really. I think. Oh boy. Right, I'm going to come to the end of this. Congratulations, Jermall Charlo. Like I said, you get the GGG fight. I would like to see Jermall Charlo at super middleweight, but in a non-title, obviously it'd be a non-title fight, and just see what he looks like at super middleweight. Just one fight to see what he looks like at super middleweight and come back down to middleweight and defend his title. That's what I'd like to see. But the next fight I'd like to see him in is a unification bout. I really would like to see him unify at middleweight. So we'll have to wait and see how. Once again, thank you for watching BWTM Sports. When I'm back, we're going to talk a bit more about a video that's been going around of, I don't know if you've all seen it yet, Deontay Wilder's face before the Tyson Fury fight, Deontay Wilder's face after the Tyson Fury fight, and Deontay Wilder's face today, and the huge dent he's got on the side of his face, which is unreal. No interest in it, really. No interest in it. No interest. I think Josh Taylor's gotten better. I think Josh Taylor's fought with better opposition. Yeah, he's improved. He's the guy that's moving up. Prograde is good. He had his opportunity and he didn't take it. So, nah, I ain't just no damn rematch. I'd rather see Josh Taylor fight Terence Crawford, to be honest. That's the fight I want to see. Thank you. Let me get out of here and I'll be back soon. Thanks for watching.